The lights on the ship's bridge flickered again. Captain Yulran watched the power readings drop lower and felt his heart sink. The Star Whisper was dying, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. 3 days had passed since the Korthak pirates attacked them. 3 days of floating helplessly in the empty space between star systems. The pirates had taken everything of value. The rare crystals they were carrying, their backup power cells, even their emergency food supplies. They had laughed as they destroyed the main engines and left the Velthari crew to die slowly in the cold darkness. "Captain," Telemaya called from her station. Her voice was weak like everyone else's. The air was getting thin. "I'm still sending the distress signal on all frequencies, but..." She didn't need to finish. Yulran knew what she meant. No one was coming. No one cared about a small merchant ship filled with low-class Velthari traders. Yulran looked around. The bridge at his crew. 12 Velthari who had trusted him to keep them safe. Now they were all going to die because he had chosen the wrong route through space. He should have paid for an escort ship. He should have taken the longer, safer path. "Any responses?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. Telemaya shook her head. Her long ears drooped with exhaustion. The Altarian Republic sent an automated message. They said rescue operations in this sector are suspended due to budget cuts. The Nexari Collective hasn't answered at all. Yulran's claws dug into his captain's chair. The Altarians were the strongest military power in this part of the galaxy. If they wouldn't help, no one would. The other species would follow their lead, as always. Engineer Kolthek stumbled onto the bridge. His usually neat fur was messy, and his breathing was labored. "Captain, life support is down to 18 hours. Maybe less if we keep talking too much." The crew fell silent. 18 hours. That was all the time they had left. Yulran closed his eyes and tried to think. Was there anyone else they could call? Any other option? The Velthari Confederation was too far away. Even if they sent a ship immediately, it would take weeks to reach them. "What about the Zephyrian trade routes?" asked Nav Officer Heltum. "There might be ships passing through." "I already tried," Telemaya said. "The nearest trade route is 4 light-years away, too far for our signal to reach." More silence. The only sounds were the weak hum of failing systems and their slow breathing. Outside the viewports, stars twinkled coldly in the endless dark. Yulran had been a merchant captain for 23 years. He had seen a lot of space and met many different species. He knew how the galaxy worked. The strong survived. The weak died. It was simple and brutal and true. The Velthari were not strong. They were traders and farmers, not warriors. They survived by being useful to others, by carrying goods between worlds and staying out of fights. It had worked for thousands of years, but now, when they needed help, their weakness was showing. No one would risk their ships or spend their money to save a crew of worthless Velthari merchants. "Captain," Telemaya said suddenly. Her ears perked up a little. "I'm getting something strange." "What kind of strange?" "There's a ship out there, big one, but it's not broadcasting on standard frequencies. The signature is different." Yulran felt a tiny spark of hope. "Different how?" Telemaya worked at her controls, trying to clean up the signal. "The engine pattern is unlike anything in our databases, and they're using a language our computers don't recognize." "Pirates?" Kolthek asked nervously. "No," Telemaya said. "Pirates use standard ships and languages. This is something else, something new." The bridge fell quiet again. Everyone watched Telemaya work. She was the best communications officer Yulran had ever worked with. If anyone could figure out what was out there, she could. Minutes passed. The failing life support systems wheezed and clicked. Yulran found himself holding his breath, though he knew he should save oxygen. "Got it," Telemaya suddenly exclaimed. "They're trying to talk to us." The main screen flickered to life. Static filled the speakers, then slowly cleared to reveal a voice speaking in an alien language. The words were harsh and quick, nothing like the musical tones of Velthari speech, or the precise clicks of Altarian. "Can you translate it?" Yulran asked. "Working on it," Telemaya said. Her fingers flew over the controls. "The computer is trying to find patterns. This might take a while." They didn't have a while, but Yuleran stayed quiet and let her work gather. What felt like hours but was probably only minutes, the static cleared. A new voice came through the speakers. It was still speaking the alien language, but somehow it sounded warmer than before. Then suddenly words they could understand came through. "This is the HMS Indomitable. We received your distress signal. Are you in immediate danger?" The bridge erupted in surprised chittering. Yuleran held up a claw for silence. His hearts were beating fast. "Tell Maya, respond. Tell them yes, we need help immediately." Tell Maya's voice shook as she spoke into her microphone. "Unknown vessel, HMS Indomitable. This is Velthari merchant ship Star Whisper. We are in critical condition. Life support failing. 12 crew members aboard." The response came quickly. "Understood, Star Whisper. We are changing course to your position. Estimated arrival in 4 hours. Hold on. 4 hours. They might just make it." "Who are they?" Koltek whispered. "I don't know," Yuleran admitted. "Tell Maya, what can sensors tell us about their ship?" Tell Maya studied her readings. "It's huge. Captain, almost a kilometer long. The power signature is enormous, but the design..." She paused, looking confused. "It's not like anything in our databases. Whoever they are, they're not from any species we know." A new species. That was both exciting and terrifying. First contact was always dangerous. Most species were peaceful, but some were not. The Korthak, pirates were proof of that. But did it matter? They were going to die anyway if this unknown ship didn't help them. "Captain," the alien voice came through the speakers again. "Can you provide us with your ship's technical specifications? We want to make sure we bring the right equipment to help you." That was a good sign. Pirates wouldn't ask about technical specifications. They would just board and take what they wanted. Tell Maya sent their ship's basic information. The response was immediate. "Received. We're preparing medical supplies and emergency life support systems. Is anyone injured?" 2 crew members are unconscious from oxygen deprivation, Yuleran reported. "The rest of us are weak but conscious." "Understood. Our medical team is standing by. HMS Indomitable out." The bridge fell quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet now. Instead of despair, there was something that Yuleran had almost forgotten existed. Hope. Kolthek was the first to speak. "HMS. That's not a designation I recognize. And Indomitable. What does that mean?" "It means cannot be conquered," Tell Maya said softly. "I looked it up in the linguistic database. It's from an old Earth language called English." "Earth?" Yuleran had never heard of it. "Where is Earth?" "I don't know, Captain. But these humans, they're coming to save us." Humans, another species name to add to the long list of peoples in the galaxy. But these humans were different. They had answered a distress call from complete strangers. They were risking their own ship and crew to help people they had never met. That was not normal. In Yuleran's experience, species only helped their own kind and only when there was profit in it. But these humans seemed different. 4 hours. They just had to survive 4 more hours. Yuleran looked at his crew and saw the same hope in their eyes that he felt in his hearts. Maybe, just maybe, they were going to live through this after all. Captain Kim Ji-won was reviewing supply reports when the communication alert sounded on the bridge of HMS Indomitable. The Deep Space Patrol had been quiet for weeks, which was exactly how she liked it. Quiet meant no one was shooting at them. "Captain," called Communications Officer Lieutenant Han Myong, "we're receiving a distress signal, weak signal, coming from Sector 77 Alpha." Kim Ji-won looked up from her tablet. "What kind of distress signal?" "Unknown language, Captain. Computer is working on translation, but the signal pattern matches standard galactic emergency protocols." The captain stood and walked to the communications station. On the screen, strange symbols scrolled past as the computer tried to make sense of the alien transmission. "How far is Sector 77 Alpha?" she asked. "Approximately 4 hours at full speed," replied Navigator Officer Yoon So-young. "It's outside our assigned patrol area." First Officer Park Min-soo looked up from his station. "Captain, shouldn't..." We report this to Fleet Command first? We don't know who's sending the signal or if it's even real. Kim Ji-won considered this. Park Min-soo was right to be cautious. Humanity had only been in space for 50 years. They were still learning how to deal with alien contact. Fleet Command had strict protocols about first contact situations, but they also had protocols about distress signals. Any other ships in the area? She asked. Lieutenant Han Mayong checked his sensors. Negative, Captain. We're the closest vessel by several light years. The computer chimed softly. Translation appeared on the screen. Star whisper to any vessel. Engines dead, life support failing, 12 crew members, please help us. The bridge fell silent. Every human officer stared at the translated message. It was simple and desperate and clear. Captain, Park Min-soo said quietly. We should really contact Fleet Command first. Kim Ji-won looked at her first officer. Park Min-soo was a good man and a fine officer. He followed regulations because regulations kept people safe. But sometimes regulations weren't enough. Since when do we leave people to die in space, Mai? She asked. Park Min-soo opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. Every human on the bridge knew the answer. They didn't leave people to die. Ever. It was the first rule they had learned as children, the most basic human value. Navigator, set course for Sector 77 Alpha. Maximum speed. Yes, Captain, Yoon So-young said, her fingers already working the controls. Communications open a channel to the distressed vessel. Lieutenant Han Mayong worked his station. Channel open, Captain. Kim Ji-won picked up the microphone. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Kim Ji-won of the human ship HMS Indomitable. We received your distress signal. We are coming to help you. She paused, then added, Hold on. We'll be there soon. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Lee Soo-jin looked up from her medical scanner. Captain, do we know anything about their biology? I should prepare. The medical bay for alien physiology. Negative. This appears to be first contact with this species. Do what you can with general medical supplies. Dr. Lee Soo-jin nodded. I'll prepare broad-spectrum treatments and life support equipment. If they breathe oxygen, we can probably help them. Chief Engineer Commander Choi Hyuk joined the conversation from his position at the engineering station. Captain, their ship signature is showing critical power failure. I'm reading hull breaches and atmosphere leakage. They're in bad shape. How bad? They've got maybe 6 hours of life support left. Maybe less. Kim Ji-won felt her jaw tighten. 6 hours. They could make it in 4 if they push the engines hard. Engineering, I want maximum speed. I don't care if you have to feed coffee directly into the reactor. Choi Hyuk grinned. Yes, Captain. We'll get you there in 3.5 hours. The Indomitable surged forward through space. The massive human battleship was not built for speed, but its powerful engines could push it faster than most people expected. In the engine room, human engineers worked to squeeze every bit of power from the reactor. An hour into their journey, they received more information from the distressed vessel. The aliens called themselves Velthari, and they were merchants carrying mining supplies between star systems. Pirates had attacked them, stolen their cargo, and left them to die. Pirates, Park Min-soo said with disgust. Some things are the same everywhere. Kim Ji-won nodded. Humanity had dealt with pirates before, back when they were limited to their own solar system. Space pirates were apparently a universal problem. Dr. Lee Soo-jin had been studying the transmitted biological data. Captain, the Velthari are mammalian, roughly humanoid. They breathe oxygen, their blood is copper-based instead of iron, and they have 2 hearts. I can work with that. Good. What do you need? I'll need a team to help me set up emergency life support in Cargo Bay 3. We can convert it to a temporary medical facility. Done. Commander Choi, can you spare some engineers to help the doctor? Already on it, Captain. Engineers Nam Ji-hoon and Baek Ji-soo are heading to Cargo Bay 3 with portable atmosphere generators. 2 hours into their journey, they received another transmission from the Velthari ship. This time, the alien captain spoke directly to them. HMS. Indomitable, this is Captain Yulran of the Star Whisper. We want to thank you for coming to help us. Most ships would not have answered our call. Kim Ji-won frowned. Most ships wouldn't help? Our own government said we were too far away. The Altarian Republic said rescue operations in this sector were suspended. No one else even responded. The human bridge crew exchanged looks. Lieutenant Han Myung spoke first. They just left them to die? Apparently, Park Min-soo said grimly. Captain, what kind of galaxy have we stumbled into? Kim Ji-won didn't have an answer. Humanity was still new to galactic civilization. They had met a few other species, mostly traders and explorers. Everyone had seemed civilized and peaceful. But apparently civilized didn't mean they cared about strangers in trouble. Captain Yulran, she said into the microphone. This is Captain Kim. We don't abandon people in space. We're human, and that's what humans do. We help. There was a long pause before the Velthari captain responded. Human? We have never heard of your species before. Where do you come from? A small world called Earth. We're new to space travel. New to space travel, but you have a ship like this? Your vessel is impressive. Chief Engineer Choi Hyok smiled at that. The Indomitable was impressive. 1 kilometer long, armed with railguns and particle cannons, protected by energy shields and armor plating. It was one of humanity's finest battleships. We learn fast, Kim Ji-won replied simply. The final hour of their journey was tense. The Velthari ship's life support was failing faster than expected. 2 crew members had already lost consciousness from oxygen deprivation. There, Navigator Yoon So-young called out. Visual contact. The main screen showed a small ship drifting helplessly in space. It was maybe 200 meters long with a sleek design that spoke of elegance rather than power. Holes were torn in its hull and debris floated around it like a cloud. Dear God, Dr. Lee Soo-jin whispered. How are they still alive in that wreck? Velthari Engineering, Commander Choi Hyok said admiringly. They built their life support. System's tough, but it won't last much longer. Kim Ji-won studied the damaged ship. Can we dock with them? Negative, Captain. Their docking ports are destroyed. We'll have to use shuttles. Then prep the shuttles. Full emergency response team, medical, engineering, and security. Security, Captain? Park Min-soo asked. We don't know what condition their crew is in. Oxygen deprivation can make people panic. I want our people protected. Within minutes, 3 human shuttles launched from the Indomitable. Each shuttle carried medical supplies, portable life support equipment, and teams of specialists ready to help the dying aliens. As the shuttles approached the damaged Velthari ship, Kim Ji-won opened communications one more time. Captain Yulran, our rescue teams are approaching your ship. Are you ready to receive assistance? The alien captain's voice was weak but grateful. We are ready, Captain Kim. And thank you. Thank you for not leaving us to die. Kim Ji-won felt something tight in her chest. What kind of galaxy was this where basic decency was so rare that it surprised people? You don't need to thank us, Captain Yulran. This is what anyone should do. But even as she said it, Kim Ji-won was beginning to understand that humans might be very different from their galactic neighbors, and that difference might be both a blessing and a curse. Commander Choi Hyok sealed his helmet and checked his suit's systems one final time. The shuttle bay of HMS Indomitable was busy with activity as 3 rescue teams prepared to board the dying Velthari ship. All teams, final equipment check, he announced over the comm system. Dr. Lee Soo-jin's medical team was loading portable medical units into Shuttle 2. Her equipment looked more like something from a science fiction movie than standard medical supplies: nanite injectors, universal, blood substitutes, and atmospheric regulators that could create breathable air from almost any gas mixture. Doctor, are you sure those nanites will work on alien biology? Asked medical technician Song Minky. They're programmed for general cellular repair, Dr. Lee Soo-jin replied, loading another case of supplies. The beauty of nanites is they adapt to whatever they find. If the Velthari have standard carbon-based biology, the nanites should be able to help. In Shuttle 3, Chief Engineer Nam Ji-hoon was checking his repair equipment. Unlike the sleek medical devices, his tools looked practical and sturdy, plasma cutters, molecular welders, and portable power generators. Remember, he told his engineering team, we don't know anything about Velthari technology. Don't try to fix anything unless you understand how it works. We're there to keep them alive, not to upgrade their systems. Commander Choi Hyuk nodded approvingly. Nam Jae-hoon was young but smart. He wouldn't take unnecessary risks. All teams, this is Captain Kim, came the voice from the bridge. The Velthari ship is badly damaged. 2 crew members are unconscious and the rest are in critical condition. Move fast but be careful. We don't want to lose anyone. Understood, Captain, Choi Hyuk replied. All shuttles, launch when ready. The 3 small spacecraft left the Indomitable and approached the damaged Velthari vessel. Up close, the destruction was even worse than it had appeared on the main screen. The pirates had not just stolen cargo. They had deliberately damaged critical systems to ensure the crew would die slowly. Those bastards, muttered Pilot Officer Lee Jae-hun from Shuttle 1. They didn't just rob them, they tortured them. Choi Hyuk felt anger rising in his chest. Pirates were bad enough, but this level of cruelty was something else entirely. He pushed the emotion down and focused on the mission. Shuttle 1 to Star Whisper. Captain Yulran, can you hear me? The response came weakly. We hear you, human ship. Our docking bay is destroyed, but there is an emergency airlock on Deck 7. The controls should still work. Understood. We're coming aboard. The emergency airlock was barely functional, but human engineering made the impossible look easy. Nam Jae-hoon's team used portable welding units to seal the gaps while their shuttles connected to the alien ship's hull. The first thing that hit them when they entered the Velthari ship was the smell. The air was thick and stale, filled with the scent of fear and desperation. Emergency lighting cast everything in a red glow that made the corridors look like something from a nightmare. Atmosphere is breathable but thin, reported medical technician Song Minky, checking his sensors. Oxygen is down to 12%. We need to get portable generators running immediately. Dr. Lee Soo-jin's team moved quickly through the ship, following directions from the Velthari crew to reach the bridge. What they found there shocked them. The bridge was small and elegant, with flowing curves that spoke of artistic sensibility. But the 12 Velthari crew members looked terrible. They were mammalian, as the doctor had predicted, but thinner and more delicate than humans. Their fur was patchy and dull from stress, and their large eyes were clouded with exhaustion. 2 crew members lay unconscious on the floor. The others were barely able to move. My God, Dr. Lee Soo-jin whispered. Then louder, medical team, move. Get those atmospheric generators running now. The humans worked with fierce efficiency. Within minutes, portable generators were pumping fresh oxygen into the bridge. The improvement in the Velthari crew was immediate. Their breathing became easier and some color returned to their fur. Captain Yulran looked up at Dr. Lee Soo-jin with gratitude in his large eyes. Thank you, he whispered. We thought we were going to die. Not on my watch, the doctor said firmly. She knelt beside one of the unconscious crew members and began scanning them with her medical tricorder. What's this one's name? That is Telmaya, our communications officer, Captain Yulran said. Dr. Lee Soo-jin nodded and began preparing a nanite injection. Telmaya, I'm Dr. Lee Soo-jin. I'm going to help you feel better. She injected the nanites and watched her scanner, as the tiny machines began repairing damage at the cellular level. Within seconds, Telmaya's breathing improved. Meanwhile, Nam Jae-hoon's engineering team was working on the ship's critical systems. The Velthari engineer, Kolthek, tried to help despite his weakness. Your power coupling is completely destroyed, Nam Jae-hoon told him. But I think we can bypass it with one of our portable generators. Kolthek watched in amazement as the human engineer pulled out tools that seemed impossibly advanced. How does that work? He asked, pointing at Nam Jae-hoon's molecular welder. It manipulates matter at the atomic level, Nam Jae-hoon explained simply. We can rebuild your power coupling from scratch if we need to. The Velthari engineer stared. Manipulate matter at the atomic level? That should be impossible. Nam Jae-hoon shrugged. Humans don't really believe in impossible. We believe, and not figured out yet. As the rescue operation continued, the Velthari crew began to recover. Fresh oxygen and medical treatment worked wonders. Soon they were able to talk more easily. "I don't understand," Captain Yulrun said to Commander Choi Hyok. "Why are you helping us? What do you want in return?" The question seemed to puzzle the human commander. "We don't want anything. You needed help, so we helped. That's what people do. But we're strangers. We're not even the same species. Your people don't know us." "So?" Captain Yulrun looked confused. "So why risk your ship and crew for us? What's the profit?" This time Commander Choi Hyuk looked confused. "Profit? There's no profit. We help because it's the right thing to do." Telemaya, now conscious and sitting up with Dr. Lee Sujin's help, spoke softly. "Captain Yulrun, I don't think they understand what you're asking. They seem to think helping others is normal." The Velthari crew exchanged glances. In their experience, species only helped their own kind, and only when there was something to gain. The idea of risking resources to help complete strangers was foreign to them. But the humans seemed genuinely confused by the concept of not helping. It was as if they couldn't imagine leaving someone to die in space. "Your medical technology is remarkable," Captain Yulran said to Dr. Lee Sujin. "Those nanites you used, we have never seen anything like them. They're fairly new," the doctor replied, checking her patient's vital signs. "We developed them about 10 years ago. They're programmed for general cellular repair and can adapt to most biological systems." 10 years ago? But your people are new to space travel. Dr. Lee Sujin smiled. "We advance quickly when lives are at stake. Human medical research moves fast because we don't like watching people suffer." Engineer Kolthek was equally amazed by Nam Ji-hoon's repair work. "How did you learn to work with atomic manipulation tools? That technology is incredibly dangerous." "Safety protocols," Nam Ji-hoon said simply. "We built lots of safety protocols into everything. Humans make mistakes, so we design our technology to forgive mistakes. But the power requirements alone should be enormous." Nam Ji-hoon pointed to the portable generator he'd brought from the shuttle. "Fusion power. Clean, efficient, portable. We put fusion reactors in everything now." The Velthari engineer stared at the small device that was easily powering their entire ship. "That little box has a fusion reactor?" "Sure. Why not?" Why not, indeed. The humans seemed to approach technology the same way they approached rescue operations. If something needed to be done, they found a way to do it, regardless of how difficult it seemed. As the rescue operation wound down, the Star Whisper was no longer in immediate danger. The humans had restored life support, patched the hull breaches, and even managed to get the engines working again at low power. "We can tow you to the nearest station if you want," Commander Choi Hyok offered, "or you can follow us back to human space. We have excellent repair facilities." Captain Yulran considered this. Going to human space would mean extended contact with this strange new species. It would mean reporting to the galactic authorities that humanity existed and had remarkable technology, but the humans had saved their lives without asking for anything in return. They had shown kindness to strangers in a galaxy where kindness was rare. "We would be honored to visit human space," he said finally. Dr. Lee Sujin finished her medical checks and packed up her equipment. "All your crew members are stable now. The nanites will continue repairing cellular damage for the next few days. You should all feel much better soon." "Doctor," Telmaya said softly, "why did you work so hard to save us? You don't even know our names." Dr. Lee Sujin looked surprised by the question. "I'm a doctor. Saving lives is what I do. It doesn't matter what species you are or where you come from. Life is precious." The Velthari communications officer nodded, slowly. She was beginning to understand that humans operated by different rules than the rest of the galaxy. The medical bay aboard HMS Indomitable was unlike anything Captain Yulran had ever seen. The walls seemed to glow with soft light, and the air smelled clean and fresh. Medical equipment hummed quietly, monitoring the health of his crew members, who were recovering in comfortable beds. Dr. Lee Sujin moved between the patients with easy confidence, checking readings and adjusting treatments. Her nanites had worked better than any medicine the Velthari had ever experienced. Crew members who had been near death just days ago were now sitting up and talking. "Your people heal remarkably fast," Dr. Lee Sujin told Captain Yulran. "The nanites found your biology very compatible. I think Veltharian humans might be more similar than we first thought." "Doctor, may I ask you something?" "Of course. On our ship, you worked to save every single crew member. Even Helltom, who was so close to death that our own doctors would have given up on him. Why?" Dr. Lee Sujin looked puzzled. "Why wouldn't I? He was alive. Where there's life, there's hope. But he was just a nav officer. Low rank, no family connections, no particular value to anyone." The human doctor's face hardened. "Captain Yulran, every life has value. I don't care if someone is the emperor of the galaxy or a janitor on a cargo ship. When they need medical help, they get the best care I can give them." This concept still amazed the Velthari captain. In his experience, medical care was allocated based on social status and ability to pay. The most important people got the best treatment. Everyone else got what was left over. But humans seemed to operate by completely different rules. Captain Kim Ji-won found them in the medical bay an hour later. She had come to check on the Velthari crew personally. Another thing that surprised Yulran. Most ship captains would delegate such tasks to subordinates. "How are your people feeling?" she asked. "Much better, thanks to Dr. Lee Sujin. Captain Kim, may I speak with you privately?" They went to the ship's observation lounge, a comfortable room with large windows showing the stars outside. The Indomitable was traveling at steady speed toward human space, with the repaired Star Whisper following close behind. "Captain Kim," Yulran began, "I need to understand something. Your people saved our lives without asking for anything in return. You gave us medical care, repaired our ship, and now you're escorting us to safety. In my experience, no species does this without expecting payment." Captain Kim poured 2 cups of coffee from a dispenser. The smell was strange to Yulran but not unpleasant. "What don't you understand? You were in trouble. We helped. It's simple. But it's not simple. Your ship could have been damaged during the rescue. Your crew could have been hurt. You used expensive medical supplies and equipment. You're burning fuel to escort us to safety. All of this costs money and resources." Kim Ji-won sipped her coffee and considered this. "Captain Yulran, let me ask you something. If you saw a child drowning in a river, would you jump in to save them?" "Of course. Even if the child was a stranger? Even if it was dangerous? Even if you might ruin your clothes or be late for an important meeting?" "Yes, but that's different." "How is it different?" Yulran thought about this. Because it's a child. And because it's the right thing to do." "Exactly. Your ship was drowning in space and you needed help, so we helped. It's the same thing." "But we're aliens, we're not human." Captain Kim looked at him with genuine confusion. "So, you're still people. You have thoughts and feelings and families. Who care about you? Why would it matter what species you are?" This conversation was giving Yulran a headache. Or maybe it was the strange human coffee. Everything the human captain said made sense, but it was completely different from how the galaxy usually worked. Captain Kim, in my experience, species, help their own kind first. They form alliances based on mutual benefit. They calculate costs and profits before making decisions, but humans seem to operate by different rules. What rules do we operate by? Yulran struggled to find the right words. You seem to help anyone who needs help regardless of cost or benefit. You treat all life as equally valuable. You take risks. To save strangers, it's noble but also dangerous. Captain Kim laughed. Dangerous? How is helping people dangerous? Because other species might take advantage of your kindness. They might see compassion as weakness. The human captain's expression grew serious. Let them try. The quiet confidence in her voice sent a chill down Yulran's spine. He remembered the size and power of the Indomitable. Humans might be compassionate, but they were not defenseless. Over the next few days, As they traveled toward human space, Yulran learned more about humanity. He spoke with different crew members and began to understand their culture. Chief Engineer Nam Jihoon told him about human history. We've had wars like most species, but we learned something important. We're stronger when we work together than when we fight each other. What about resources? Different groups must compete for land and materials. Sure, there's competition, but we found that cooperation produces better results than conflict. When humans help each other, everyone benefits. Dr. Lee Sujin explained. Human medical philosophy. We have a saying, first do no harm. It means that helping people is more important than profit or politics. But medical research is expensive. How do you fund it? By working together. When one nation develops a new treatment, they share it with others. When everyone contributes, everyone benefits. Even the junior officers had the same attitude. Lieutenant Yoon Do-hyun told him about something called the Rescue Protocol. Every human ship, military or civilian, responds to distress signals. It doesn't matter if it's convenient or profitable. If someone needs help, we help. What if it's a trap? What if pirates use false distress signals to lure ships into ambushes? Then we spring the trap and deal with the pirates. But we still respond, because the signal might be real. This was the most alien concept yet. Humans would risk being ambushed because they couldn't bear the thought of ignoring someone who really needed help. 3 days into their journey, they received news that changed everything. Communications officer Telmaya, now recovered and working, with the human crew intercepted a galactic news broadcast. Her face was pale when she brought the information to Captain Yulran. Captain, the story of our rescue is spreading through the communication networks. Everyone is talking about the humans who saved a Velthari merchant crew. What are they saying? Mixed reactions. Some species are curious about this new race that seems to help strangers. Others are suspicious. The Altarian Republic wants to know why humans have such advanced technology if they're new to space travel. Captain Yulran felt a knot in his stomach. He had hoped to control how news of humanity spread through the galaxy, but information had a way of traveling fast. There's more, Telmaya continued. The Korthak hegemony has issued a statement. They're claiming that humans are a threat to galactic stability because they interfere with natural selection by helping weak species survive. The Korthaks, Yulran spat. The same pirates who had left his crew to die were now complaining about humans helping people. Captain Kim Ji-won joined them in the communications center. What's the galactic reaction to our little rescue mission? Telmaya translated the various news reports. Most species seemed curious but cautious about humanity. A few were openly hostile, particularly those who profited from others' misfortune. The Nexari Collective wants to establish trade relations, Telmaya reported. They're interested in human medical technology. The Altarian Republic is demanding that humanity submit to their authority and stop unauthorized rescue operations, she continued. Captain Kim's expression darkened. Unauthorized rescue operations? They claim that rescuing ships in distress requires proper permits and government approval. They want us to get permission before saving lives? Apparently. Captain Kim Ji-won looked at Captain Yulran. Is this normal? Do species really need government permission to help people in emergencies? Yulran nodded sadly. Rescue operations can affect trade routes and political relationships. Most governments want to control when and how their ships respond to distress calls. That's insane. That's politics. The human captain was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke into her communicator. Bridge, this is Captain Kim. Send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them we need to talk. An hour later, they were in communication with Admiral Park Seong-ho at Human Fleet Command. The Admiral's face appeared on the main screen, looking tired but alert. Captain Kim, I've been getting reports about your rescue mission. Apparently, you've stirred up quite a reaction. Yes, sir. The galactic community seems surprised that we helped strangers in distress. Some of them are more than surprised. I've received formal complaints from 3 different governments. They want us to explain our actions and promise not to interfere in galactic affairs. Captain Kim's jaw tightened. Sir, we saved 12 lives. What's to explain? That's exactly what I told them. But Captain, you need to understand. We're about to face some difficult choices. The galaxy operates by different rules than we do. If we keep following our conscience, we're going to make enemies. And if we stop following our conscience, we stop being human. Admiral Park Seong-ho smiled grimly. My thoughts exactly. Captain, bring our Velthari friends to Earth. I want to hear their perspective on galactic politics. And Captain? Yes, sir? 3 weeks after the rescue of the Star Whisper, Captain Oh Seung-wan was reviewing cargo manifests aboard the merchant vessel Seoul Trader when his sensors detected incoming ships. He looked up from his tablet with the calm expression of a man who had seen 30 years of military service before retiring to civilian cargo transport. Captain, called his first officer, Lee Min-ho. We have 4 ships approaching fast. Configuration matches Korthok pirate vessels. Oh Seung-wan nodded, calmly. The Seoul Trader was officially a civilian cargo ship. Unofficially, it was crewed by former military personnel and armed well enough to handle most pirates. But 4 Korthak ships was more than most pirates. General quarters, he ordered. All hands to battle stations. The transformation was remarkable. Within minutes, the civilian cargo crew had become a disciplined military unit. Weapon systems that had been hidden behind fake cargo panels deployed smoothly. The bridge became a combat command center. Incoming transmission from the lead Korthak ship, reported communications officer Kim Do-yeon. Put it through. A Korthak face appeared on the main screen. The alien looked like a cross between a lizard and a shark, with rows of sharp teeth and cold, calculating eyes. Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Prepare to be boarded for inspection. Oh Seung-hwan smiled politely. Korthak vessel. This is Captain O of the merchant ship Seoul Trader. We are traveling on a peaceful trading mission. Is there some problem? The problem is your species, human. You have interfered with the natural order by saving those Velthari, weaklings. Now you will pay the price for your interference, I see. And what price is that? The Korthak captain bared his teeth. Death, of course. We will make an example of you to show the galaxy what happens to those who oppose the strong. Oh Seung-wan's polite smile never wavered. Well, that's unfortunate. I was hoping we could discuss this peacefully. There is nothing to discuss. Surrender now or be destroyed. In that case, Oh Seung-hwan said calmly, I'm afraid I'll have to decline your generous offer. The Korthak captain looked confused. You decline? You are 1 ship against 4. You have no choice. Oh, but I do have a choice. I choose to defend myself. The screen went dark as the Korthak cut the transmission. On the Seoul Trader's bridge, the crew prepared for battle with quiet efficiency. Sir, Lee Min-ho reported, enemy ships are moving to surround us. They're preparing to board. Let them come alongside, Oh Seung-hwan said. Make sure all our surprises are ready. The Korthak ships moved in confidently. They had done this many times before. Overwhelm a merchant vessel, board it, steal everything of value, and kill the crew. It was simple and profitable. What they didn't expect was for the merchant vessel to suddenly sprout weapon turrets and launch a coordinated counterattack. The Seoul Trader was built like most human civilian ships. It looked harmless on the outside, but it could defend itself if necessary. Particle beam weapons emerged from hidden compartments. Missile launchers deployed from what had appeared to be cargo bays. Fire all weapons, Oh Seung-hwan ordered. The space around them lit up with weapons fire. The lead Korthak ship, expecting an easy boarding action, found itself under heavy attack from weapons that shouldn't exist on a civilian vessel. But the Korthaks were experienced pirates. After the initial shock, they adapted quickly and returned fire with their own weapons. Hull breach on Deck 7, reported Damage Control Officer Yoon Jae-won. Emergency teams responding. Medical teams to combat stations, announced Dr. Choi Yuri over the ship's communication system. The battle was fierce but brief. Human weapons technology was more advanced than the Korthaks had expected, and human crews were better trained. Within 20 minutes, 2 pirate ships were disabled and drifting. The third was retreating with heavy damage. The 4th ship, however, had managed to get alongside the Seoul Trader and was attempting to board. Captain, Lee Minho called. "We have boarders in Cargo Bay 3. Oh Sung-hwan smiled grimly. Poor bastards, they have no idea what they're walking into. The Korthak boarding party expected to find terrified civilian cargo handlers. Instead, they found themselves facing former human military personnel armed with combat rifles and wearing powered armor. The firefight in the cargo bay was short and brutal. Human soldiers moved with practiced precision, using their superior training and equipment to devastating effect. The Korthak boarding party was eliminated in less than 5 minutes. All boarders neutralized, reported Marine Sergeant Park Jiwoo. No human casualties. Oh Sung-hwan nodded with satisfaction. Excellent work, Sergeant. Damage report? Hull breaches on 3 decks, but nothing critical. We can make repairs in flight. Communications, send a message to the retreating Korthak. Ship. Kim Doyen looked up. What message, Captain? Tell them that the next time they want to attack a human ship, they should bring more friends. The message was transmitted, and the surviving Korthak ship jumped to hyperspace without responding. News of the failed pirate attack spread quickly through galactic communication networks. The Korthak hegemony, embarrassed by the defeat of their raiders, decided to make a stronger statement. Admiral Vextar, commanding the Korthak 3rd Battle Fleet, received orders to launch a punitive expedition against human space. The mission was simple. Find a human world and destroy it completely. Make an example that would discourage other species from interfering with Korthak operations. How many ships do we have available? Admiral Vextar asked his aide. 47 warships. Sir, including 12 heavy cruisers and the battleship Deathbringer. That should be enough to handle one primitive human world. Set course for their nearest colony. The Korthak fleet departed 3 days later, heading for Kepler Station, a human research outpost in a system that appeared lightly defended. What they didn't know was that human military doctrine assumed every colony might face attack. Kepler Station looked like a simple research facility, but it was actually one of the most heavily defended positions in human space. And they didn't know about Admiral Bae Seong-jun's 3rd Fleet, which had been conducting training exercises in a nearby system. The Battle of Kepler Station began when Korthak ships dropped out of hyperspace expecting to find an easy target. Instead, they found themselves facing a coordinated defense that had been planned and practiced for years. Kepler Station's hidden weapon platforms activated immediately. Energy shields snapped into place around critical facilities. Fighter squadrons launched from concealed hangar bays. But the real surprise came when space itself seemed to ripple and 12 massive human battleships materialized from stealth fields that shouldn't have existed. "This is Admiral Bae Seong-jun of the Human 3rd Fleet," came the broadcast on all frequencies. "Korthak vessels, you are attacking a civilian research station. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Admiral Vextar stared at his sensors, in disbelief. 12 battleships, each one larger and more heavily armed than his own flagship. Where had they come from? "Human Admiral," he transmitted back. "You are outnumbered 4 to 1. Surrender now, and we may allow some of you to live." "Admiral Vextar?" came the calm reply. "You seem to be confused about who has the advantage here." The human ships opened fire. What followed wasn't really a battle, it was a demonstration. Human weapons technology was decades ahead of anything the Korthaks possessed. Human tactics were based on protecting civilians and minimizing casualties, even enemy casualties. Human crews fought with the disciplined fury of people defending their homes. The Korthak fleet was systematically disabled rather than destroyed. Ship after ship found their weapons and engines knocked out by precisely targeted attacks. When they tried to retreat, they discovered that human ships were faster than anything they had encountered. Admiral Vexitar's flagship Deathbringer lasted longest, but even it was eventually overwhelmed by coordinated attacks from 3 human battleships. As his ship drifted helpless, the Korthak admiral received another transmission. "Admiral Vextar, this is Admiral Bae. Your fleet is disabled. Do you wish to surrender, or shall we continue this demonstration?" Vextar looked around his damaged bridge at his defeated crew. We surrender." "Good choice. Prepare to be boarded." "And Admiral?" "Yes?" The next time you want to attack innocent people, remember this moment. The aftermath of the Battle of Kepler Station sent shockwaves through the galactic community. The Korthak hegemony, one of the most feared military powers in the region, had been completely defeated by a species that was supposedly new to space travel. But more shocking than the military victory was what happened next. Instead of destroying the defeated Korthak fleet, the humans provided medical aid to wounded enemy crew members. Instead of taking prisoners, they repaired the disabled ships and allowed them to return home. Instead of demanding tribute, they simply asked that the Korthaks leave human space alone. The surviving Korthak officers reported something that sounded impossible to their superiors. Humans seemed more concerned with saving lives than with winning victories. Captain Yulran, now serving as Velthari ambassador to humanity, watched the news reports from the human capital world of Earth. He was standing in the office of Admiral Park Seong-ho, the man who commanded human fleet operations. "Admiral," he said quietly, "your people have just changed the balance of power in the galaxy.